In the course of the past 365 days, I've been piloting a secondary account. We've made it from level 0 to account level 107. The new play experience is definitely faster. Does that mean that it's better? What does that mean then for those of us who've been playing the game for a long time? How does those experiences translate? This is an experiment that we've done every year for the past 3 years. So we have a lot of information to look at to note the trend of Marvel Strike Force, where it was, where it is, and where it might be going. I'm really interested for us to dive into the 1 year review. We've been playing this account for over a year, so what lessons have we learned? What things do we find that could need adjustment, and what has worked well? So we see here we've been playing for 376 days. I apologize, I meant to get this out earlier. I did indeed make the video, the data got corrupted, so here we are shooting it yet again. We're looking at our Winter Guard team here, and we're seeing that teams are starting to have a little bit of variety in the way that they're constructed. So we have Red Guardian, Yelena Belova, and Omega Red as older characters. The newer characters are Darkstar and Ursa Major. What this does for people as they're progressing, as they're working their way up, is you have access to some of these older characters. For example, Yelena, Red Guardian, as you just pick them up from playing the game, you have a strong character that can help carry you through early content. In this team, we also have Omega Red as an older legendary character who's been reworked. So he's very, very strong. He was strong back in the day. Now he's brought back. He is very, very strong. Again, you have a character that can help you push forward in content. He's a villain, right? So that's going to help you in some areas as well. He's very strong. You have something you can kind of build teams around. If we go into the event screen, and just continue to scroll over. So here we have all these older legendary characters that I have not unlocked. I guess I could go after the Phoenix there, but we have all these older legendary characters that I have not unlocked. And so what this does is it just helps people to be able to do that. They can go in, the requirements are not very high, and they can get themselves a good, strong, legendary style character early in the game. And again, this is going to help people. We're talking from the new player perspective, with the context being access to those newer reworked legendary characters like Omega, Red, and Phoenix. Only reason why we're bringing that up, because that was a departure from the method that we generally saw, right? So we had 3 new members in the sense of Silver Sable, Daredevil Modern, and Hitmonkey here on the Vigilante team. Now this team was very well put together, and so reworks, especially like the Punisher over there, right? Especially like the Punisher. This is a character that you get early in the game. They give him to you pretty much right off the bat in the beginning as part of the story. So it was a great move on Scopely's part to rework some of those characters, Punisher, Elektra, that you're going to get very early in the game. That way you have something that's effective, that's hard hitting. You might not have them on a team just yet, but you're able to start getting to know the characters and push your way through the game. So at the top there, you see we have made it indeed to level 107. And we remember we did make a video in the past that it took about 8 months to get to the end game. So that was to get to level 105, which was the end game at that time. Somewhere in there at that 4 to 6 month mark, you're probably starting to be able to do things in what you would call end game content. You obviously would get to that stuff earlier, but you wouldn't have the capacity to do anything. So now it looks like we're going to take better track of it next time. It looks like it takes about somewhere between that 4 to 6 month mark to start really to be able to engage in what you would call the end game content and get rewarded accordingly. The change in the economy is definitely going to affect the way new players are able to proceed. We're just stopped right here with our champions. We didn't build them anymore, and it just gives us a nice little snapshot in time. So once again, we have Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Braun, and Miss Marvel. So we have 3 older characters. We have good access to them. Our new characters are Moon Girl and Nova Sam Alexander. We were able to power up Miles here to gear tier 20, and then we were getting ready to move on to our next character. Now, the thing I want you to keep in mind is the old school economy. There were times when we could get 7, sometimes 8 characters built up in an end game economy. So as a newer player, you would move to that level. You would be able to build your team, and then you would be able to kind of stretch out, reach out, and start building some other things as well. But with the economy sitting the way it is, if it continues to move in the direction that it is, and we can only build 5 characters, that's going to be for us at the end game. I'm not sure what resources will be available to people coming up. If we're maxed out at 5, and that's getting paid at the end game rate, if I'm making sense. If your paycheck is coming in at the end game rate, and that's enough for 5 characters a month, what is it like earlier in the game? Are we helping the new player community if they can only build? I mean, it's going to be less than that, right? It's going to be less than that. I wasn't going to start a new one, but we're going to start a new one in a really near future here and see what it looks like, see if we can figure this out. Let's take a peek at my gold. So up at the top there, we have 33, almost 34 million, and we have 900 gold orbs in reserve. I'm not sure if this is part of the intent. Again, people are reporting at the end game that they don't have enough gold. So here we are progressing. We haven't really dipped into that stash. Again, that's under a year behind us. So I'm not sure what this would look like going forward. At the moment, I would be able to sustain my rate of building those 5 characters, even if I wasn't completely engaged, and I would just slowly be dipping into my gold stash. For training materials, this is what I have on deck. I don't have enough gold, but in theory, I could take those characters. There are at least one more character here, all the way up to level 107, if that's what I wanted to do. I don't have any training orbs in reserve, so in order to get them, that would just force me to have to farm those nodes every day. But at least I would know. At least, okay, I would play the game from the perspective, get all the gold I can, and then use my extra campaign energy, if I'm not farming anything else, to go after those training orbs. Actually, there wouldn't be anything else, right? I would probably need to be paramount focused on getting those training orbs in the nodes every day. And since we're here on the same page, we have these ability orbs, right? I have 26 of them. That's what I'm going to have to lean into to make sure I'm able to get my tier 4s, so I'm able to activate the full power of the characters. For illustrative purposes, let's just see what we're able to do. We're going to go ahead and just power up our guy Braun here. We're going to bring him up to level 105. All right, and we just want to take these abilities up because I just want to see, I don't know what I have in reserve right now. So when it comes to the purples, when it comes to the blues, I have plenty, right? There's tons there to get you up to up to ability level 6 in this case. But now when I come up to, again, my tier 4 is ability level 7, I'm already short, right? I'm already short, and that's fine, right? In theory, I should be working on this character throughout the month. I did stop my progress about 2 weeks ago, but in theory, I should be working on this character throughout the month. What would I have to do? I'd have to click over. I could get some tier 4s there in the fractal store. That's not really a good idea. So we'll go ahead and open all of these orbs here and see if I have enough to power up my character. Okay, that's going to be 78. That's not a ton, right? It's not a ton. Now, again, this by itself is not a touchstone. I apologize that for the last one, again, my data got corrupted, so I had a different explanation. But as you see, that's not going to be enough. But again, I haven't played the account for 2 weeks, really. I haven't been going after the things to get these, so I can't tell you for sure whether or not this is something that's sustainable. It seems like it's tough. It seems like it's something that is a little bit harder, which by itself might not be a problem, but we need tier 4 abilities usually to activate the character, to have them do what they actually need to do. You don't need to do it on all the abilities, but you're going to need to do it on at least 2 or 3, most notably the passive, to really get the teams to work. Let's stay on the same theme and talk about gearing. In the past, we would run into significant bottlenecks when trying to gear our character. So it happened again right here. I can get him up to gear tier 11. So we'll go ahead and power him up. And in the past, we would have been dead stuck in the water, just hoping to get orbs. We would have to roll and hope to get the missing pieces. So right here, we need this unique piece. So in the past, we would just be stuck in the water. Now with the chapter store, this is actually a huge addition. Many of us might not realize that. This is a huge addition. Now I can just simply buy this piece. It'll be here every day. I believe he needed that palladium. There he is, advanced palladium. It'll be here every day, and I can continually farm that piece. I'm going to get 10 of them at a time, and it'll be there every time the store resets. Again, it is a huge upgrade. In the past, you simply had to wait and roll the dice and get orbs and hope that there was a unique drop. And that happened at every stage, right? That happened at blue. It would happen at blue. You'd be stuck right off the bat. Purple, green, orange, right? Teal. It would continue to happen and you would be stuck trying to build your characters. You would have to get orbs after orbs after orbs, dice roll after dice roll after dice roll. And now that is a huge, huge change. Right, that one little piece right there gave me enough to go to Gear Tier 19. I don't have any gold, but it illustrates the point. I was stuck just for that moment. If it took me a day or two of store refreshes, that would be fine. And I would be able to power my character up, provided I had the gold, and I could move on to the next character. Otherwise, again, in the past, you would be getting behind and you start falling behind and more behind, days, weeks, months behind, not because you didn't unlock the character, but because you literally could not reliably get a hold of the gear. Talk about raids for a minute. So in the past, your progression in raids was 100% reliance on the rest of your team, the rest of your alliance, I should say. And as the game changes, you can't always guarantee that you're going to have a fully functional, upbeat, super aggressive alliance. That's somebody, that part is outside your control. So by moving the rewards to like this, right? So up here, this are my T4s. I'm guaranteed for participation. No matter how much I do, I'm going to at least get some of those T4s. But the big rewards are here inside of the node as long as I'm playing on this level, right? If you go up to the Omega version, then you have more stuff in the alliance reward category because you have formed an alliance that's aggressive and people want to get after it. But now I can tailor my experience so that, right, I could turn that difficulty up and it's by my own self. So to the extent that I have pumped my account up, I'm going to get rewarded for that. In raids, it's very important because this is how you get the things you need to build the foundational portions of your team. So I do indeed like that change. I think it's very positive and it helps out wildly with individuals able to make progression in the game. Since we're talking about progression, let's talk about Arena. Now, I want you to notice here, my rank is 43. I did play my Arena matches here and there throughout these last 2 weeks because I just wanted to demonstrate the fact that by having the appropriate characters, you can do well in Arena. I'm inside the top 50. I don't have any mythic characters. It's just using the Fantastic Four MCU and a couple other characters. In this case, Emma Frost and the Vulture. Once again, when the Vulture got that rework on the Insidious 6 team, he had lots of power. Same thing for Emma. Power goes up. Now you have strong characters in addition with the traditional Arena characters, and that made a ton of difference. I'm still going to stress that your raid teams are probably I shouldn't say that. The raid teams are the most important teams in the game. Arena is right behind that. You can do a lot with power cores, but there's a lot that you cannot do with power cores, right? Power cores don't give you gear. They help you to do other things, but they don't give you the gear. So Arena is wildly important. Once a year, an Arena team comes out. So that would be one of the few times where I would say to pivot, go back and build those characters. Now you're kind of going to you got to ask around. We got to figure out where we are in the year, how long we think it's going to be till the next one comes out, because especially with the economy being what it is, you're not really able to go back and do things. You're not really able to pivot. If I build one of these characters in today's current economy, I'm literally taking away the ability to build something else. If I build those three, if I build the Fantastic Four MCU, I'm now committing to skipping a team because I'm not going to have the resources to build the next team. I would be funneling them into this older team. So we want to be careful and make sure that, right, I'm not going to make that choice, make that sacrifice, and then miss out on the actual next Arena team. Does that make sense? So we got to be a little bit careful with our suggestions, ask around, kind of ask yourself, well, how long has this team been up and running? That's going to help us to make the right choice. But it is positive in a sense that as long as a person is there for that and they're active, they can do very well in their arena. So let's talk legendary characters for a moment. The way that it was constructed this round, we have Thunderstrike, Blastar, and Quasar that we were able to grab through participation only. And that method wasn't so bad. I mean, here's Thunderstrike. A lot of people are saying he's not that strong. But again, if you are a newer-ish or a mid-game character player. If you came to the game in the last year, you have access to legendary characters. They're not that bad, but they help you make up the qualifiers for content that asks for legendary characters, and you didn't have to dip back into old things. You didn't have to build up older teams just to unlock other legendary characters. Am I making sense? And with today's economy, that is extraordinarily detrimental to your account. I have Old Man Logan here that we just did a brute force, right? We just used whatever team we had at the time, turned the Scourges up to maximum, and we had enough to unlock him. We can't build him up anymore, right? He's at 4 stars. We had enough to unlock him. But there is advice out there. People are saying, hey, you need to build those older teams so that you can get Old Man Logan, so that you can get the Shadow King. And that's just bad advice, right? That's just bad advice. If I was to build up 2 older teams in today's economy that don't do anything, that's horrendous. One character, no matter how strong, it doesn't matter if he's Professor X. It's not strong enough to push you that far behind in your progression. There's so many other things you're going to need to do. It's better to have those other teams fully filled out than to have one character. But we had access, again, to a lot of those legendary characters. We showed you on the screen before the requirements to get them. It isn't really that great. Moving into the Horsemen, again, you would have to build characters on it, right? There's a couple of characters that you have to build to unlock them and then to get Apocalypse. So I didn't do it. You could. I didn't do it, though, just because, again, the risk versus reward, the amount of characters I have to invest in versus how many characters I get back, right? Even Apocalypse, he's one character. I can't use him in all game modes. I can't use him to, pump up my raid teams to get more gear. So for me, it just didn't seem worth it, but the path is there and it is open to you. But I will say that the acquiring of legendary characters at this point is much easier than it has ever been in the history of Marvel Strike Force. So it is something to lean into, and it is something to keep in mind. The point is, though, is that character going to help my progression? If we move our way up to mythic characters, you see that I did not unlock any, right? Obviously, Kestrel, Ultron, Ultimus, those are from earlier Dark Dimensions. It was easy to just brute force our way through there and get the rewards. It wasn't about the characters. It was just about getting the gold and the training materials to do that. Otherwise, when it came to the rest of the characters, like I said, Apocalypse, going through the Apocalypse saga, I just didn't think it was worth it. If some other people did, right? Investing in certain characters just to get another character, is this character going to help me in the long run? Is he going to help me make up for the fact that I, built these other guys over here? Most cases, I don't feel like that's the case. But if you're having fun, Apocalypse is a wonderful character. He is a favorite character for people that enjoy comics, who enjoy the X-Men series. He is a spectacular X-Men villain, very nostalgic. And so for a lot of people, maybe it was worth just going after him just to get Apocalypse. But we see the other characters there: Doctor Doom, Super Skrull, Mephisto, Odin. A lot of those guys I could have went after, right? Over time, right? Just playing the game, you'll get enough stuff. So mostly because I didn't power up any legendary characters, just the ones that I had there, that I was stuck at all those Dark Dimensions at the legendary section per se, right? I need 5 legendaries. I didn't have them. So for all the rest of these Dark Dimensions, if they called for a legendary section, I didn't have enough characters, and I wasn't going to build more legendary characters just to get these guys. Because again, following that same psychology on my part, I could be mistaken. There's people that play the game a lot more aggressively. It just didn't seem to be worth the effort. Reason being is because, again, the older a character is, like if you're talking about, like I don't do demons anyway, but if you're talking about, for example, Mephisto and Odin, they're relatively new they are new in the mythic perspective, right? In the mythic perspective, they're still newer. We have some counters for them, but not as many as we do for the other characters, right? So Super Skrull is very strong, but there's a lot of characters now that counter what he does. So even though he's a mythic character and he's strong, there's a lot of characters that counter what he does. So just because he shows up against me in Crucible or in War, it doesn't matter, right? Same for Dormammu. If he shows up, Crucible or War, it doesn't matter. I can easily counter them. Does that make sense? It's not necessarily the case for Odin, Mephisto, obviously Professor X, who I didn't get. Those are relatively new still in the cycle. So it's not as easy to counter them with modern day teams straight up with no other Mythic characters. But Mythic characters are cool. They're awesome. I might be a little bit more aggressive the next time around. We'll just kind of have to wait and see. Again, it's tough with the economy being what it is. And just want to talk about the store changes again from that new to mid-game player perspective. These things are amazing when you think about it. So up until, in my opinion, up until you hit the max level, which in that case was, at that time, was 105, I would go after the character shards for the team that was coming out. That's what I would use the currency for, just to get my characters unlocked and make them as strong as reasonably possible at the time. Until I hit max level, then I started switching over to the gear tier 20 pieces. I had no use for them before that. You're going to just pile some up anyway before that. And that's how I did it. You might, and this is knowing that I'm going to stop the account in a year. So that might cloud my judgment. You might want to just go all in on the gear tier 20, but it'll take you, again, it's going to take you months, right? It took me 8 months to get to max level. You wouldn't be using any of this stuff till then. So I still perhaps think it's just better to go after the character shards, make them as beefy as possible, because the newer characters are always the strongest, correct? So if you have them and they're as beefy as you can reasonably make them at the time, that's what's going to give you the advantage. It's going to help you do better raid lanes. And if you're talking about player versus player, again, it's just like everything else. More character shards, more stars, more gear. The part that you can control it, it's going to make things easier for you. The character store with the different ages, again, excellent change. We didn't talk about it a whole lot, but this is a huge change for the new player community. You always, every day, have access to a farmable character. Again, that wasn't always true in the past. And the price isn't tough. 2,000 shop credits, 10 character shards at a time. Again, it's amazing, right? It really helps in the progression. This was a great idea. It even helps us again at the end game. If we haven't been playing forever, we don't have those characters maxed out, we're able to get into them early once we know who the reworks are. And that, I mean, that's huge. Most of us don't understand what big a deal that actually is. It is a tremendous game changer. And just to reiterate again, the same way with the gear, right? So we got the purple gear there, the teal gear, the orange gear, same exact thing. The fact that I have access to it every day, every time the store resets, I have access to every piece of gear from, in this case, teal down. It's great. Excellent quality of life change. I didn't talk about the Spotlight Raid. So the Spotlight Raid is a great addition. The Spotlight Raid orb is a huge catch-up mechanic. Again, you can max a character out very quickly once that character gets into the orb. Again, having these first two sections with no requirements is good. You can at least put some percentage on the board so you can at least get some reward. You'll make it into that first tier with those two things and you get a decent, right? You get some stuff, right? You get some stuff, you get some of the higher end things. That's a big deal. With the change, the Alpha Flight in the champion section. So it's Alpha Flight or champions. Right. So you still have the Alpha Flight listed, which for a lot of people, they may not know that as you're playing the game gives you Alpha Flight. OK, so a lot of times people are saying, well, you shouldn't, you're making new players have to invest in this team. The game just gives these guys to you as you play and they give you tokens. A lot of us might not know that. So as you're playing the game just gives them to you. They give you tokens. They allow you to power up your Alpha Flight team, but you're not going to be able to max them out. Right. They're not strong enough. I don't know how much of this was my doing and how much of this was tokens, but they're not necessarily strong enough to auto and punch through all the nodes. So you need to be with a buddy. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. When we talked about this, if I can say this, hopefully with the creators in the Envoy server, I did have a little bit of concern. It was hard for me to articulate it at the time, but essentially I was worried that in the past, right, we've had older raids that call for named characters. So what happens as time goes on and people, again, complain? Well, because that's the problem sometimes with individuals in the community. They just want to cause problems. And people will continue to complain about that Alpha Flight tag being on the node, not understanding that people get what they need to get through it. But we're not going to be giving away champions, at least not now. So if this continues to be a path in maybe 2 years from now, right? They stopped giving out the Alpha Flight tokens and then they give champion tokens, if I'm making sense. My concern was just that the Alpha Flight tag at some point would be taken away because people complain, because people don't remember that you're giving out those characters for free. Am I making sense? And then new players get stagnated because you'll be running into a team that you have to build, that you don't have any way to. I mean, you can get you can farm the shards in the store and stuff, but again, current economy, you're gonna literally be asking people to build a 5-person team with no assistance just to participate in the content. So that was my concern, and it's just something I want to keep in mind in the community. We got to think about, okay, if we change something, how will this affect people tomorrow, right? Today, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but how will it affect things tomorrow? So I apologize. I tried to record again when Battleworld is active so I could show you the progression there. We were at difficulty 2 in this alliance. We could turn the difficulty up to 4. We were able to get 2 knockouts on Sentry. So, I mean, it's close, right? It was close as far as, am I doing the right thing? Is this at the right difficulty? So the content was easy. The content was easy. It was just, can I get knockouts on the boss? So we were able to get 2. So again, we're at the appropriate difficulty. Here's the Sentry that we got, right? So he's 180 shards, a little bit better than halfway there. We weren't able to unlock him on this account. But again, that's the reward spot that we were at. So again, I don't have a whole lot of evidence, but I guess for the newer to mid game, this is something you're going to be getting on the end game side as you progress. So if I continue to play this account, when we get into the Maestro, I'll have newer teams. Maybe we'll have enough that we could go at a higher difficulty and we'd be able to get him unlocked. But just progressing through, we're about halfway. And so we would be looking forward to perhaps that Null of the Abyss, whatever that event's called, for him to start getting the rest of our Sentry unlocked. In like manner, here is our Sentry, the Battleworld character before that. Or excuse me, here's our Null, the Battleworld character before that. We got maximum out 7 stars. And I think that is due to the event. I don't think we got 7. I can't remember if we got 7 stars through progression. It seems highly unlikely. It seems much more likely that I was able to fill in the rest of the stars and get those red stars through that special Null event that pops up from time to time. Let's just take a quick trip down our roster. I thought for sure there was a tag marker. I can't find it. That was called locked roster. So it just showed you the characters that you had not unlocked. So there's a lot going on here. Again, just by playing the game, opening orbs, things like that. A lot of characters that we did get unlocked. And I know this probably, it's just a weird stat. Okay, so as we go down, that's quite a bit of characters that we were able to unlock. We look at our marker there. We're in the last quarter, right? Last quarter of characters that we just didn't get any or just not enough character shards to unlock at all. And by itself, that's not bad, right? It's made up of a couple special characters, a couple newer characters, mythics and whatnot. But our locked roster is, again, just a good indication of what you did not have access to. And this actually looks really good, right? Most of what we see here are characters that have controlled access or their minions. So over the course of the year, I gotta say, again, I should have a side-by-side graphic comparing this year to last year. There's much more here that got unlocked. Even if we didn't build them, they opened up the character in some way, shape, or form. They gave us the character in some way, shape, or form, even if we didn't use them. So access to characters was definitely better this year than any year previous. Let's move into the PvP game modes. I think this is very telling as to the potential for the game. So when it comes to Cosmic Crucible, we see over the past couple of years, I've always had a winning record. Again, maybe I didn't take the best records. I don't think that we had this many more Crucibles than any other time in history. But the point is, you can have a winning record. I'm not a good Crucible player. I'm a very average player. I'm not a strategist. So it's just like anything else. By building in this method, by participating, you can win. That's the bottom line. There's no shortcuts. People say, well, hey, just do this and put this super strong person on defense. Well, okay, well then what's going to happen when you're fighting against my defense, right? How many characters do you have? Even if I just have weak people, if you don't have any people because you put your one good character on defense, right? So there's no shortcuts. As you're playing the game, as long as you're unlocking the newer characters, you're stronger than the older characters. So you're able to punch through a lot of things that people might not think you can. So, and as you play in the game too, you're learning how the teams function. You're starting to learn how, again, teams are released, how they work together, which characters are the strongest. So again, as you progress, I don't know if I'm making sense, you're learning the game. One of the downsides of Cosmic Crucible is you kind of have to know the game. They've turned the rules down a lot. They've made the rules really tame, and it's because the standard player doesn't understand. So maybe they need to diversify that, right? Maybe there needs to be some type of a, like I'm always up for like tournaments or like a champion league or something like that. So maybe 3 months worth are, you know, regular crucibles. And then that 4th month, instead of having that U32 thing, maybe you just have a crucible that's really hard. Make the rules tough, make it challenging so that both sides of the player base have an opportunity to do something. And we see a similar thing when it comes to Alliance War. Winning record all the way around. Some were a little closer than others, but we had a winning record. In Alliance War, you're dependent on other people as well, right? It's not like in Crucible where it's just you. So again, when it comes to this game, all you have to do is participate, get the characters, and use the characters. You're gonna win, right? You're going to win just because, right? There's a lot of bad advice out there. There's a lot of people that don't understand the game, and maybe some of that can be addressed. On the other hand, it's just like anything else, right? Every day you show up is an opportunity. If you don't show up that day, well, then you lose, right? It's just a good life lesson. But I think it does show, even in lower level wars, they can be competitive. There's nothing wrong with that. We just need to do a better job in helping the community understand how the game is played. So is there anything that I didn't put in this that you'd like to see for next year? We're going to try to track things a little bit better. We might start looking more at the economy, any type of measurables that you think should be present that we can keep comparing year after year. I enjoy doing this. I'm probably not going to lead an alliance anymore. It's just a lot of work. I'll slide in somewhere else, but we'll make a report. We're going to be starting in a day or so, a week or so. We'll get it figured out. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. Thanks for enduring to the end here. We recognize the video quality wasn't good, but we already had the video. I can't recreate it because I used resources and stuff like that. So I can't reshoot it. It kind of is what it is. But thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what else we can track and measure, and we'll put that in for next year.